Welcome to our next adventure with Chemology 411, a podcast about anything and everything. Kim and her guests will take you behind the scenes, behind the story, or behind the bar. So sit back. Make sure your seatbelt is fastened, tray table in its upright position, all carry-ons stored under the seats. But for this adventure, electronic devices must remain on, as we are ready to take off on our next adventure. Introducing Kim Schultz and Chemology 411.
Welcome, everyone. Today's episode is going to be about school lunches, then, now, and in the future. And of course, we'll have Tyson's Quick Hits, and we'll have a little bit about my Florida vacation and a few other little stories. I am Kim Schultz, and I am your adventure coordinator for this show. Let's say hi to my co-host, Tyson Harley.
Hello there, and everybody, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I know.
See, they're a very obedient audience. Let us, you said. Let us.
Let us.
I can hear them.
Like, yeah, I should have like that soundtrack. Like, ha!
What is
like
that? What is that kid show where like everybody out there do the whatever so Tinkerbell comes back to life? Does that sound familiar? Yeah. Anyway, so. And it's like as though you actually did it, and like the kids are like, okay,
oh my gosh, you did it.
Yeah. So thank you for saying hi to me, everybody. I appreciate that.
Exactly.
So the catalyst for this main topic, which is a school lunches, was just so you know what we're looking at. And we're not really criticizing; it's just a reason for the topic, and we'll get into some of the details. Is that overhaul, the recently announced overhaul of the school lunch guidelines, like the minimum requirements that Michelle Obama put into play. So now it's time for Tyson. I don't know why that. Not even a good sound. I was thinking about Tyson's Quick Hits, except it's really today. It's Tyson's medium speed hits. Not that quick. So, but that said, I will try. So the first one is I've been a little active on Tyson Harley on Facebook. Okay.
Ooh, yes,
and
he has.
I've got some good stuff. There's some little things where I've heard of some things before. I said, boy, they seem pretty positive. It's out of mainstream narrative, and I want to go see if it's really true. So independently looked it up. One is, I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but I'll give you Cliff Notes. I'd always heard in the background, I said this to somebody else today that I found this stuff, and they said, yeah, I heard this too, and they said the same kind of backstory rumor that they'd heard, that there's something weird about fluoridated water. Okay, just stop. I'm not saying there's anything crazy about fluoride, although that could be another question. But when I looked into this issue about fluoridated water, I'd heard this recently, and it ends up being true. When I went and independently investigated and screenshotted, our fluoride, or really the chemicals that we put in water, are literally industrial waste. And I've proven that. No, seriously, it actually is the case. It's there in the fertilizer plants in Florida. There's what they put off is some, a bunch of industrial waste. And if it was let downstream, which it was in the 60s or the 50s, it literally killed cows.
Right.
Like, you can go find cows that are, like, on their last legs, like, down on their front knees. And it killed livestock. So what they did was put something called a wet scrubber. So it's kind of like, think of the stuff that would be just particulate in the air as it comes up the smokestack. Instead, it somehow gets caught in, like, the mist or something like that. And therefore, it gets captured as a liquid. And forever, our fluoridated water has not really been what I would say pharmaceutical-grade fluoride, like in your toothpaste.
Right.
It has been this industrial waste. And so it's the stuff in the scrubber, whatever contaminants are in there, including, oh, by the way, arsenic. Yes, arsenic. And they literally sell that to municipalities, and that is the source for our, quote, fluoride in our water.
Oh, my.
It's literally if that water, because they'll sell it as a powder, like they'll, dry it up as a powder, or they'll sell it as the liquid. Either way, it doesn't get purified in between. So there's just kind of unmeasured contaminants, like, for instance, arsenic. Anyway, I've got a whole slideshow. The main thing is pretty good, And then the slideshow is some good information. Like one is where you'll see bar graphs of 3 different things.
You're missing his hand gestures here.
Bar graphs of 3 different things. It's the slideshow is also filled in. I think you'll like it, and it's good proof. But it has lead, arsenic, and then in between a bar of fluoride. And the heights are similar, with arsenic being in between the two in terms of toxicity. And the next slide is how much is allowed for each one of these, like most parts per million. And
which water is it? Like, what water are you talking about?
Any municipality.
So, like, the water coming through the faucets?
Yeah, I'm talking about, and so my argument would be, yes, one thing for it to be general. It's one thing if it was limited use water, like it gets used for, I don't know, if you could just keep it a sewer or something like that.
Right.
So anyway, I've got information out there. It's really good, and I don't. If your mind's going to turn off, I really can't help you. But all I can tell you is I looked into it. It is absolutely true, and I have as good evidence as you possibly need to be 99.99999% convinced of just this fact. That the quote, fluoride treatment in our water is really just a way to get rid of what would have been considered industrial waste from the fertilizer industry in Florida.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. Number 2. Quick hit number 2. And this is that I also looked into. I mentioned this on the show, trash islands. You know, those trash islands.
Yes.
Well, I had heard that China potentially contributed to that, like, directly and purposely. And I said, okay, well, that's interesting, but I haven't looked into it. And then I find some studies by interested groups that say recently, like, I don't know, something like 70% of the trash islands, any kind of a recent input, is coming from Asian countries, specifically 5, China, and 4 others. So a large, giant chunk is not coming from the U.S., it's coming from these. But more specifically, that didn't, and you can go see that, same idea. I do the post, I do some slideshows. And that's about 3 posts in a row. One where I go, this would be logically consistent with this idea that I've heard, which is this. The next day, I find the study that says most of it's coming from Asia, and most of that's coming from China. But I still haven't answered the question, which is possible whether China's doing it purposely. The next day, or 2 days later, I find something about a trash island east of South America. So think of that. You'd think China's would be in Florida, in the Pacific Ocean or in the Indian Ocean. Well, this is in the Atlantic. This is in the South Atlantic. And so people go out and study this island off the coast, the east coast of South America, and they say that 83% of the recent stuff, or something like this, I quote the numbers in the post, is coming from Asia, which is way far away. Mm-hmm. It's not even coming from South America. More specifically, of that 83%, 73% of that, it could have been, it's vice versa. It was 73% is coming from Asia. And then, so they're looking at, like, labeling on the bottle, not made in, but, like, I'm pretty sure they mean, does it say it in English? Does it say it in Spanish?
Right, yeah.
So of the 73% that's coming from Asia, 83% is from China, but wait for it, of the stuff that they looked at, 90% of the bottles near the coast, which is the recent stuff, the coast of the island, the coast of Trash Island, had dates on them that were too new to have figured it could have floated there. So it really does seem to be. Go look at it. I've got a nice little kind of slideshow presentation and screenshots of studies, like straight up scientific, journals doing reports, not just articles, like the original source stuff.
Yeah.
That says, I think what's happening is, and this is actually what they conclude. This is too new to have floated here. So someone dumped it here. That's what these people who went and studied this particular island said. Here's what's probably happening. Those giant container ships that come from China, they're like, throw 50 tons of trash on the back of that, or 30 tons. And on your way, just drop. They just throw it into the ocean.
Yeah, when you're going to go pick something up, drop that off, and then fill up with your stuff and come home.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and the other thing about fluoride, quickly, so speaking of China, so it's already bad enough, with the fluoride that's really just a general industrial waste that has things like arsenic and other stuff in it, with at unknown measures. They said lately, we're also buying this wonderful treatment from China. So we're buying China's industrial waste, which could be even worse. We don't know. Under the guise of treating our teeth. Okay, so now the last one is that I was at the library. I've been here a lot. I go there a lot for focus, basically for this podcast and for other things. And something I thought, a lot of people may not realize with their library, the incredible resources. We've talked it many a times, that besides the books and besides like the electronic downloading of music or movies and books and things like that, and the DVDs and the Blu-rays, a lot of times, like, our library has some things that you get a free account that would be like $10 to $30 if you went and got it on your own. Like some of these learning websites, if you've heard of lynda.com, lynda.com. There's another big website like that like maybe went along with Indeed or something like that. I can't remember the name. It was a really prominent website that was about learning, like corporate learning and those types of things. Just be program after program course after course. So, like, for instance, at ours, Lynda, it's free. You just use your library card and sign in, and you have the account. It'll keep all your history. And another thing is Mango, which is kind of like a Rosetta Stone or Duolingo. So it's a language program. Another thing we have is Treehouse, which is a coding program. Now, I know this because I went ahead and bought it for a while. It's whatever, 15 or 20 or 25 a month. And that's where you can go in and like learn how to make a smartphone app or learn any number of programs. It's free through the library. It could be free through yours. And then there's another one for ours, which I haven't checked out. I just saw on the list, called Creative Bug, where it has things like sewing patterns and templates and art design and quilting and crochet, information and videos on that. So that could be worth it for those type of people who are trying to be more home ecky, that's not an adjective. And another thing I wondered we saw briefly before was Consumer Reports.
Yeah.
We logged on and it looked like, well, you might get Consumer Reports free would be huge.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. And then there are also databases. Well, sometimes Google searches aren't really very logical. They're just kind of, here's some related stuff, especially that now it's very much an ad engine as it is a search engine.
Right.
And they also have the censorship aspect. Well, there are databases through your library, and this is how I found some of the stuff on the fluoride and other things, where it does do a true Boolean search. So you go, I want whatever I'm finding to contain this term and this term or this term. I don't want a bunch of related halfway stuff. You can do really specific searches and find a lot of stuff in journals and things like that. So just a few things that at the library that can make it even more worth it and literally get some things free that might cost you a lot. So that's the end of Quick Hits.
Drop the mic. No, don't drop the mic. So have you ever heard of the AFC?
The AFC, yes.
AFC.
Oh, wait a second. We're going to talk about the Chiefs.
Now we're
actually recording this before the Super Bowl, but
so
just a week before. But when it comes out, hopefully we have won. Hopefully we've won.
There might be a parade. There might be a parade tomorrow. There might not be. I'm not going to say.
So
I don't know.
Chiefs. Anyway, they're in the Super Bowl. It's a big deal. We hope they win against a very tough 49ers team. If you beat that team, you've really earned it. So that's
first time
no joke.
in 50 years.
And then, also the other thing that recently happened is Kobe.
Yeah. So
Kobe just happened a couple days as we record this.
I was going to say, I got home from, I think it was on Sunday, and one of my friends said, I don't follow basketball, but did you hear about Kobe? And I mean, he's been in the news before. And I was like, no. And then I went to Facebook. Boom, 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 boom. And that was just a tragedy. I mean, in all around. I don't really know how to, I don't want to say this to sound rude or mean or something like that, but I do want to, one of the reasons I want to talk about it.
Reactions chapped your hide, as I understand.
Right. So,
social reaction.
Yeah, it made me mad because in the world, in our world, we idolize movie stars, sports figures. I mean, you've got a shirt on with a 20, how old is he?
Mahomes,
like 23 years old?
23 at this time.
I mean,
22.
he's a child, and you've got a t-shirt and it's got him on it. That's what we do here. We have all of these people that are celebrities, and they get paid a lot of money, but they also lose out on privacy. They lose out on what normal people actually get in their normal life. And so we have this tragic experience. This tragedy happens, and immediately I've been told that a particular show announces the death before all the family was even notified. Because he's a celebrity, and that's what happens. Nobody cares. They'll act like they do, but that is what fame gets you. Then it was like hours later, day later, it was like, later on, you hear about the other people in there. And then all of a sudden, Facebook goes ballistic with everybody trying to even all 9 of them as they are the same level. And yes, they're all human beings, but reality is that Kobe is in people's houses on the television, interviews. He's in the gym.
I've told people, basketball and these people that we see so many times on TV, it'd be just like if any celebrity, maybe not because he's kind of it's its own specialty field, and he's an athlete and a celebrity. But I would recognize my favorite basketball players when I was watching the Spurs the closest, which is my biggest team. I would recognize them from 50 yards as quick as I would a family member.
Right.
Because I've seen the way they walk. Yeah. I've seen them. I've watched whole games with them running around back and forth. They don't wear helmets, So it's a big deal. I mean, people feel like they know these people.
Right. So when you're talking about them and you're just talking about them, you're talking about it because it's like you know them. We don't even like. I'm sorry that the other ones have passed away, and I don't know Kobe either, but I knew the name, and I've never watched a basketball game. I've seen him. I just know him through advertisements and all that kind of stuff. So when you are expressing your concern for the person that you relate more to, it doesn't mean you're a rude asshole for not talking about the people that you never heard of before.
What you're talking about, these memes and or just sentiments that came up about, well, yeah, what about so-and-so died? So it's like, yeah, but naturally,
that's right.
Certain people are going to take the lead part of the story. Like the other people, it wouldn't have even been a national story.
Correct.
Nothing against them. We just don't know them.
Right. So if Kobe and his daughter would not have been on that helicopter and that helicopter crashed, it would have been a 1-second thing. Helicopter crashed into a mountain.
And regionally, maybe for that coach. And we did find out their details eventually.
But we wouldn't have if Kobe hadn't have been on there. We wouldn't have known anything about there was an accident. And it might have got picked up. In the middle
of the country, we wouldn't have known that.
We might have got picked up on the AP that recorded locally. But what I don't think people realize is that there's quite a few helicopter and little plane crashes that we're not hearing about because they don't happen around us. Now, if they fly into a house and it's a slow news day, it's going to be a bigger story. So we are going to know more about these people because Kobe was on there, and they're going to show them more. But the other thing is they had the privilege of being told that their loved ones died.
The other people.
That their parents died before it got released because that's what they have to do.
Because they're not a public figure. So no one had any reason to break a story. And because they didn't break a story, because they didn't break the story because they're known, then the authorities can go, no, we're not going to release that yet.
Okay.
So you got to remember, that's part of it. It's like part of the reason you didn't find out till later is because that's the process. If it's not a leak, we're not going to tell you yet.
Right.
Because we want to tell the family.
So that being said, what really made me mad is all of a sudden some asshole goes back to 2005, finds a story about soldiers dying in a helicopter crash, starts sharing it and says, why aren't we talking about this? It's because we already did in 2005. But the bad thing is that there's the date's not in the thing. So you see a picture, you see a headline, you see some idiot up here sorry if you're the idiot, but you're an idiot, making up there, trying to lead people into to anger, the military. Well, that's perfectly fine. But do you think that the family of those 30 military people want it back out again?
Well, maybe they do or maybe they don't, but
it's going to come across their news feed.
Yeah.
It's going to come in their news feed, and they're going to be like, that's my husband, that's my dad. Like, why is this back? Why is this news again? And if it was me, I'd be like, my family member died in 2005. Kobe just died today. Why are you using our tragedy to try to make this tragedy not as bad? And so
I didn't say that. I didn't say it was bad. I mean, I'm literally a family member of the person who died 14 years ago. I'm not trying to say it's bad to be sad that it's like the corollary of the idea that when you'll bring up some kind of corruption or awful thing, and they'll act like you're like a superficial jerk because you haven't brought up a bigger thing.
Right.
It's like, what kind of I mean, this is a subject I'm on.
Right.
It doesn't mean I don't believe in other, big bad things.
Exactly.
It's like the opposite. Yeah, of course there are tragedies. This is one.
Yeah, this is a tragedy. This is
one.
Can
I mourn? Process a
can
tragedy?
I mourn what I want to mourn and have you not tell me what I have to mourn about? That's what I don't understand. So that was the Kobe thing. I feel very sorry for everyone that's involved in any sort of a death thing, especially the two kids who lost their mom and dad and their youngest sibling. I mean, they had 3 kids, and the one guy has 2 teenage kids. They're left without parents, and
I mean, they're immediate orphans of the baseball coach.
That's just all around horrible.
Yeah, it's tough whenever you have somebody like that who's, people know him as being a champion, and now he's really visible, and he's still young, and he's still, I've always said that the way to live forever is to die young and still beautiful.
Right.
And if you do that, I mean, people always, like Betty White, who doesn't love Betty White? But,
exactly.
When it's somebody who's just like an icon and they die at the prime of their life, it's like we remember them more because that's how you remember them.
Right.
And you always remember that it was so tragic that they probably had decades left.
Like Richie Valens, Big Bopper, and Buddy Holly. I mean, there's a play about them. They all died in their plane
but to
crash.
Your point, who else died?
Yeah, but do we know anybody else that was in there? I mean, did we?
We do, but do you and I know them? Like the world knows.
If they were to know. So reality is quit telling me what I have to do, and quit using social media to try to make people mad. I don't get it. It's like you just want to start another freaking war on Facebook about how dare you not give the attention of this people over here.
Well, Kobe wasn't that great a guy. Yeah, but that doesn't mean
that does nothing to do with it.
He had his imperfections, but if people are like, man, that sucks.
Right.
Well, it does suck. You don't need to invalidate that. I mean,
exactly.
What good does it do?
But another thing is that at 5:30, it was not dark.
What?
No! I mean, like our first part of our episodes, it's when we were getting dark at 5 o'clock, and everybody's complaining about the daylight saving time and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was out driving, and I looked down, and it's 5:30. Yes, it's happening.
Remember, as we said before, here it's kind of interesting because the earliest sunset is like basically exactly at 5 p.m. So so now we're 30 minutes out
now
at least.
Now we're getting closer.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of weird how once it turns a corner, it starts to gain some speed.
Yeah, it's like, yes. Because I was actually, when we recorded last time, which the holidays messed up. So it's really hard to do this podcast and try to do a weekly episode when you're not around. I just got back from Florida as well. Mm-hmm. I got to spend 8 days down there with my uncle and my cousin, David, and his wife, Claire, and their 2 kids. My daughter got to go down with me. And it's not really so much that we go do tons of stuff, but I just want to go down and spend time with my family. And so I added this trip to this year's schedule of insane vacations. It's going to be a crazy vacation season.
You're on a pretty good little run since I've gotten to know you more. I'll tell you that.
So anyway,
I think it's because you want to get away from me.
No.
Listen, can we just do a couple episodes quickly and can we not talk to each other for 3 weeks?
Can we?
Anyway.
Yeah, can we be together till 3:00 in the morning? No. So we went down there, and first of all, I traveled
good.
all
She
over.
had to stop herself.
I have to think about it so I don't make this sound horrible. So I go to Atlanta, and I go to different airports all the time. And most people, you have your business people. They're just businessy. They're in their suits, and they're just talking business. Then you've got the tourist people, and then you've got the older people, and you just have this. It's just kind of an airport. When you fly in, or when I fly into Florida, I used to fly into West Palm Beach. It's older, rich people. This time we flew into Tampa. Rude people. I don't know where these people come from. But then I went into Fort Lauderdale. Still rude people. So I'm like, what is going on here? There are so many people around where I go that are from New York.
I literally almost said that. I was going to ask, well, what's your
New
whatever.
York.
Well, I meant, what was your layover? You know, would they be coming down? Because
they
I literally almost said that. I'm like, well, maybe I won't stereotype that unless I say it as a joke.
Nope. There's no joke about it. They're from New York, and they literally, my daughter, Chelsea can be a handful. So you're walking in this, like, let's say we go to a store, and you're walking with your cart. They will literally just shove into your cart and push you away. Like, get out of your way. Like, get out of... They don't say, excuse me. They don't say whatever.
It's crowded. They don't have any time.
You're like...
Just think of that.
Yeah,
that's the way I figure.
In New York, it's crowded.
I know, but that's their habit.
Florida. So the driving is horrible. And so, like, it probably takes 2 days for my anxiety of not being able to... I don't like such people that are so... Ugh, and they're intense. And so, not the people that live there.
Come out here, they're like, are you guys asleep? How are you going so slow?
And they're so slow, and we're so nice.
Well, because there's time to be nice.
No, you go. No, you go. No, please, you
there's
go.
There's time and space available.
Yeah, it is not down there. It is all for, they're just rude. And it's just a certain group. So, like, the people that are down there that are working at the Target, stuff like that, they're as nice as can be. But the airport, you got to watch yourself. Do not go to Costco and expect to come out with all your limbs, because they are serious. At Costco, they got the new machines where you go over and order your hot dogs, because you have like the deli thing in there, like Sam's. And so they have 3 machines, and you go over and you pick what you want to eat, and you pay, and then they order it. They had a line of 20 people in line waiting to go to the register to order, and none of them would come over and hit a button that has a pic of a hot dog. Literally, it's pictures. You hit the picture and you pay. We got our food and we were done. These people are still standing in line, and the lady came over to us because my uncle's in a wheelchair and he only has one leg. So a lot of people kind of always come over, and he's just the nicest guy ever. And she came over, she goes, I have absolutely no clue why these people enjoy standing in line. I'm like, because they're used to it. Like, they're thinking, if I don't stand in line for an hour and a half at Costco to get my hot dog, it must not be as good. I don't know. So anyway, that was that. But then the other thing, we went to an art museum down in Delray Beach, which was really, really cool.
Which coast is that? The east or the west?
I don't know. It's by Fort Lauderdale. I don't know.
I don't
Miami.
know.
Well, we were like an hour from Miami, but we're in that kind of area. But we decided Chelsea wanted to go to a mall, so we were going to go to one outlet mall, and my cousin Claire was like, no, we're going to go to Sawgrass Mills. It's like a mile long outlet mall, and there's a super Target attached to it, and it was phenomenal. And I think you and I were talking about.
Do you mean like an outlet, like shopping center?
Yeah,
where
it's
you
a
walk
shopping
outside,
center. No, it's inside. It's like a mall inside, but it's like a mile long, and then there's like, you can turn left or right and keep going down that place, and then there's a soup Target, and then you can go outside and there's more things around it. It's just flipping huge, and it's like right by Miami, so it's not anything that would work here. But that's when I came up with our concept of our mall here, because it's kind of dying down, is I think we should put the outlet stores upstairs and then turn our downstairs into entertainment, dining, functionality, so that the winters, we have a place to go. We have a parking lot there. Summers, put some fall festivals outside in the parking lot. And anyway, so
yeah, I think it's a good idea.
The mall was great. Two food courts on each side.
Nice.
I mean, it was insane crazy. So that's kind of what we did. Our flights were great, and besides that was all I did there. I got home and then right back to Kansas City because my friend Kenny hosts a fundraiser.
This is what was that? This is where the abbreviation comes in. We said it earlier, AFC, and I can tell you that means American Football Conference. And the Chiefs just won. And that must. Why would they need to raise any funds? The AFC, American Football Conference. These guys have a lot of money. And so why did they need to raise funds for the American Football Conference? I'm confused.
Yeah, exactly. This is the Angel Flight Central.
Oh.
Not the AFC.
Ooh, that's different.
That's a different one.
Tell me more.
So AFC basically is an organization that is made up of independent pilots who help for free of charge take families that access specialized healthcare, special needs camps, and other destinations like disaster response and all that stuff, and that they can't pay for the flights. They'll actually help them get to where they need to go.
Wow.
And so they have over 400 pilots have flown over 9 million miles and have helped transport 24,000 passengers. I was amazed, but this is the cool story about this whole fundraiser. We did it at Jerry's Bait Shop down in Kansas City, or Lenexa, I should say. And it's just kind of it's a group of our friends that we have down there, and they had a Patrick Mahomes signed jersey.
That'll get some money right now in Kansas City. Okay. And it's the perfect time for it.
So, they had other stuff. They had a Kelsey. They had my little wit from the Royals, Merrifield.
Oh, yeah.
Is it Merrifield?
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, I just love him. He's just one of my favorite. But anyway, so we get up and it's like Patrick Mahomes. It's in the wrapper, and they're like, we're going to auction it off. We're going to start out at $500 and $600 and $700 and $800 and then $1,500 and then $1,600, $1,650. And then finally, one particular person, and I'm not going to call him out because he didn't do it to get attention, he's like $1,750. And so that other guy that had bet $1,650, he was like, I'm done. And so he was like, sold, $1,750. And so the guy comes over and he signs the thing and all that kind of stuff because he's friends with them. He hands him back the jersey and he goes, I'm donating it back to you. You can bring it to the Super Bowl and re-auction it. And so I don't know if that happened. Rumor has it that the guy that bet $1,650 came over and said, I'll give you $1,650 for it. So they made over $3,000 on that jersey for this cause. Nice. That is incredible because there are so many different families that have disabled kids that have to go to, like my friend has a child that has like the palate stuff wrong. So there's like the teeth and all that stuff. In order for them to get the services that they need, they have to go to
specialty
just a
locations.
Children's Mercy or Shriners or something, but they have to go to Chicago. And she's like, I can't afford that. And so what I was going to do is try to contact her and say, hey, have you contacted Angel Flight to see if possibly they could fly you down there?
So there you go. It's called Angel Flight Central.
Angel Flight Central,
wait a second.
yeah.
And then Wings Over Mid-America. So it's both so you can find it either way?
Right, I believe so.
That is cool. And it's not just like healthcare. It's also like when they want to go to those camps where they feel, more, they just have a good weekend or have a good week.
Right.
They're with other people who have specialty areas where they can participate better if they have, those types of needs. That's very cool.
Yep, I thought that was really cool. Then the rest of my day started out this morning going to the doctor for my annual physical, which should have been in November, but I forgot. And I didn't know I was going to get shots, and I came out with getting my blood taken and 2 flipping shots, and so now my arm hurts, and I think she meant to put the hurt one in my left arm, but my right arm hurts, so I've got a flu shot in one arm, and I've got measles in another arm.
Well, sometimes you get a reaction. I hope you're not going to be sick on Super Bowl weekend.
Actually, you cannot get sick from the flu shot. When you get sick, it just means that you already have the in there. It's inactive.
Well, regardless, some people get sick as well. Whatever
right, they get the flu.
Is.
They get the flu, but not from the shot. I would just get the flu anyway. But if I did, I'd sit at home. I haven't watched the Super Bowl in like 10 years. But I am actually going to Kansas City to see the Super Bowl. So anyway, guys, well, we are going to take a commercial break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about school lunches. So we'll see you soon. Hold it. Bye. Welcome to 2020. As we begin a new year, I hope that you are ready for the ride of your life. Tyson and I have so much more to discuss, and there are hours and hours more of Chemology 411 on its way. Last year was just a sampling of what we wanted to offer our fans. We are excited to continue to help direct you in new and adventurous directions. Think outside the box. Plus, we are having way too much fun to stop. Each adventure will take you places that might be unfamiliar, but it will always be entertaining. By joining Chemology 411 private group on Facebook, you can contribute to our shows. If you know of any friends who you feel would enjoy our show, please make sure to invite them to our group and podcast. In 2020, we will begin working on our YouTube channel, and we have so much more planned. Now let's get back to our current adventure. All right, everyone, welcome back. So when should we learn about healthy eating, and should schools feed your kids unhealthy food, or should we be teaching them how to eat better so that they don't end up being an overweight adult trying every fad diet out there? It just cracks me up when I'm watching all these people like dedicating their life to the shake, to the coffee, to the drink, to the diet. And it's like,
dedicate 2 months to it and then dedicate yourself to something else after that.
2 months. It's like that's even kind of long. But what I'm saying is we learn how to eat, and to change that habit is nearly impossible to do it. So why don't we start out when we're young? And so you would think that. Now, a side note is low-income people a lot of times do not have that functionality to be able to do that. So this is not saying that everybody has this option to do that. But in the school system, you should be teaching your kids health. So I'm going to go over a really quick thing. When I was in the 5th grade, we had an experiment. We had 2 rats. We had one rat that we fed leafy vegetables, lettuce, carrots, celery, and all that stuff. We had one rat that ate junk food, literally candy, cake, cinnamon rolls, all the junk food, because rats will eat anything. And every day we would weigh them. That cat, the rat that had all the junk food was 3 times the size of the other rat. And that's what we did, and that was a unit of teaching us how to eat healthy and why you eat what you eat. They were like, like breads were not something that you're supposed to eat. They have sugar in them. I was taught that in 5th, or I think it was 5th grade, because I remember I had a combo class. So it was either 5th or 6th, same teacher, but anyway, so we at least took some energy into doing that. Now, of course, that'd just be inhumane. We can kill rats on the street, but we can't feed them crap food, evidently. But it was a great experiment, and I remember it. Let's see here. How would it be like 40 years later? I'm still remembering learning about how to eat. And so back in our day at my school, we had a kitchen, and they cooked all of our food fresh for us because we were actually the old high school. So they built a new high school and made the high school into an elementary school. And so we had a full kitchen. So when people complained about food, I mean, I'm talking, we had fresh cinnamon rolls. Our pizza was amazing. The only thing I didn't eat was that slimy ass spinach. Ugh. But I loved everything else. We had carrots. My favorite meal, which is really weird, was ham steak. It was like an inch slip ham, baked ham on a bun, and then he'd give you a packet of mustard. I thought that was like, yes. And then, of course, cinnamon rolls with chili. Mm-hmm. We had spaghetti. I mean, we had
I honestly
a meal.
don't remember what we had. I really don't. I mean, you'd have to, like, give me a multiple choice and go, yeah, that sounds right. I don't remember.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I ate whatever was there, but...
Hamburgers, and they'd give you pickles and ketchup and mustard.
I believe you. I didn't grow up here.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You might have.
But if I believe that maybe it was similar. I don't believe it was bad. I just don't remember that it was great. I just ate it. It's kind of like now. I'm not really a foodie. So.
Oh, I'm a foodie. Now, the high school would have to make all the food for the other elementary schools, and that was all shipped in. Same menu, of course, but we had fresh food because we were way out in the country. Like, we were probably like 20 miles away from our high school. Like, we were not anywhere close to anything when I went to school. So that's what I remember. I also remember from just my daughter being in school and just listening to people complain. Everybody has always complained about school lunches.
Yeah.
I've always complained about school lunches. It's kind of like the same thing of...
It's kind of a joke, too. It's just a cultural common, touching point that we can, have, make fun of our lunches that we had to have at school, whether it was truly, whether that was very true or not.
Right. And people like... parents now, because their kids come home and go, I don't like the school lunch, or they just assume they don't even eat the school lunch. They don't really know what's going on. I mean, you're talking a couple dollars here, so you don't really know. Anyway, I'll stop there because we're going to talk about what's going on. So in 2010, the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act was put in place. And basically what that did was it changed the way school lunches were made.
This was Michelle Obama's initiative.
This was Michelle Obama. And they tried to get out like you're not supposed to have a lot of bread. You're supposed to have whole wheat bread and the stuff like that. They basically tried to remove so much of the sugar out of the meals and offering more vegetables and fruits and doing things differently. Do I agree? Do I agree with that? I agree that a school district should be conscious and want to provide children with a healthy meal. I don't believe that they should have to be told to do that.
Right, but it still has an effect. I mean, the policy or the rule is this, especially if there's subsidization, which we're a little confused on the amount or the percentage of subsidization, but there is at least some, and we'll try to go into some of that. A rule that is kind of a guideline and or mandatory for any kind of subsidization has an effect. Now, of course, locally, you can still go above that floor, but if the floor is lower, it does mean some people are going to serve towards that floor instead of up in their optional area. So one of the things it said was that would allow schools to reduce the amount of fruit included in breakfast served as on the go from 1 cup to a half a cup. And then sweet pastries and granola bars could fill the rest of the required calories on this breakfast served as on the go. And for lunch, schools can serve potatoes as vegetables. So, and you kind of think, well, isn't it? It's like, no, it's not really what they meant. They meant like green, leafy, and things like that, and carrots and stuff, which allowed me to say, because some of them are like, well, that's probably because of big potato.
Big potato. Oh,
you know how big oil.
The big potato. The big potato lobbyists.
Big potato, which is the first 2 times I've said that. No, about the 10th time because I kept saying it after I thought of it. So you're saying it's big potato? I'm not even saying it's wrong. I'm not actually making fun.
Well, but because
lobbyists exist. Correct. I just like the idea of the term. So.
But the dairy farmers, when the new law came into effect, they took out the 1% milk and they made it 0.5%, and they got rid of the strawberry and the chocolate and all that kind of stuff.
When the new law went into effect, this new rule
in
just now or in 2010?
In 2010.
In
2010, milk went down because they got rid of the chocolate and the strawberry, and they only had 0.5% white milk, and kids weren't taking it. They weren't buying extra.
But they weren't buying it like a sweet drink.
Right.
And so then big milk comes along.
Big milk comes around, and and they're like, we need it. And so some of the schools could go in and you could actually fill out a form, and I can't remember what it's called. It's in here somewhere. But you could get like a waiver, and so that they could actually start serving chocolate milk, like 0.5% chocolate milk, which
nobody wants milk anymore.
That's what I would have drank, because milk was nasty. I hated milk.
Well, remember that, for about 10 years now, it's been like, oh, chocolate milk's actually good for after your workout. So that would be the argument, right?
Right.
That's what Big Milk wants you to think anyway.
Exactly. So, do we have a big fruit? Oh, never mind.
A big fruit. I've seen him down at the club. His real name's Sammy?
Sammy.
But boy, is he's 6'3" and 275. Yes. Big fruit. That's what we call him. Sorry. No. Oh, the lobbying. I got mixed up. So anyway, of course, there's always going to be, even if there's big potato or big whatever, like we're saying, if there are lobbyists, someone's always going to have a cover story. So you have to then decide, okay, is this somebody's cover story, or is this really a sensible thing? And honestly, I haven't analyzed this enough. The Department of Agriculture Secretary says, well, it's because schools and school districts continue to tell us there's still too much food waste. So if you make it too healthy, then the kids don't want to eat all of it.
And that's crap.
And more common sense flexibility is needed to provide nutritious and appetizing meals. What's that mean? They just get more tater tots?
Correct.
You know?
And here's the thing.
And actually, that's the example. So speaking of big potato, what do you love? Just put a big old thing of tater tots.
Chicken ring things and some tater tots. Here's the thing: is food gets thrown away because these kids go to sit with their friends. They are so structured in the classrooms that they're not allowed to talk. They have a recess. They get into the lunchroom. Back in our day, we had a stop sign. It was red, yellow, green. Red, when you walked in, you had 8 minutes to shut your mouth. You did not talk. You had to eat your food. And then it went to yellow, meaning you could whisper. And then green was just kind of a casual conversation. You should be done. And a lot of schools sometimes used to do that. I don't know if they still do or not. But anyway, we had it that way. Here's the thing. We give these kids 15 to 20 minutes to get in line, get their food, sit down, and throw it away. 20, 30 minutes, that is not enough time for these kids to eat. And another thing is you've got 400, 500, 600 kids that you're feeding through. So you've got multiple lunches to get them in and out and get them in and out and get them in and out. They don't have that time to eat the food. That's why it's getting thrown away, because they're talking. They're children. That's why they said red light. And then what they would do is they would go around and they would look and they'd be like, eat.
So part of it is process, but, and I don't know which one's true, but the same study or the same article that you had, which was on Mother Jones, about, I don't know if this is the name, but it was certainly the name of the link, Trump administration defense of its school lunch overhauls, a big nothing burger. Witty. Said that, actually, studies show that food waste did not increase when it got healthier. And that, in fact, the lunches did get healthier, which, of course, if that's again, we're a little confused on what percentage, we'll get into that, is mandated, for subsidization versus no, this is just kind of a guiding principle. But, of course, if the floor is healthier, like the least healthy you can be, then on average, even if some people still stay at that level once the floor is lowered, they stay at that height and level. Some are going to go back down to serving tater tots because they're like, I love tater tots. Right. And I love chicken nuggets, and things like that. They're going to get more processed stuff, going to get less vegetables.
Right.
And so that's what happened. I mean, I believe that. Now, of course, the argument is, but the states can always make this a bigger guideline, or the local can. And I don't know the level of the state involvement versus the local district on guidelines.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but
it's not, and I'll tell you why. So I did daycare for.
Wait, it's not what the state didn't have involvement.
It's not It's not local. It's more state. There's like the school district isn't going to make it up.
I'm just saying the state could always make it higher. The local district could, if they wanted, go, vegetables all the time. We don't care. We're a Catholic school. We want our kids to be on the ball.
Well, Catholic school, private.
Let's just say it's some public school that says we're known as being great. And
they can, because back in one of the articles were in one of the states, they said, Betty said, when I was listening to Civil Eats, they were like, we're going to continue to provide them with the changes that we're going with. What the Trump administration wants to do is they want to lower all of this and get rid of all of it and allow them to have hamburgers every day or pizza and not have to have all the vegetables and the fruits, and they don't want them. And some of the schools are saying that's fine, but we're going to still go ahead and do it because we saw that it's the right thing to do, and so we're going to do it. But when my daughter was in the 3rd grade, I did home daycare for 10 years, and what we had was the food program. The food program, I believe, was a state-funded, which probably gets money from the federal government, but it was I had to take classes, and then I had to put together menus, and I had to have a meat. I had to have I had to have two portions of a vegetable, fruit, 2 vegetables, a vegetable or fruit. I had to have a carb, which I had to have a bread. I had to have those in every meal. So I had to plan out my week menus for my snacks and my lunches. And then I was actually reimbursed for those kids. Like they didn't have to pay. It was like I literally got reimbursed, and it was hundreds of dollars a month that they paid me. Which is what
we thought. A slight aside, and we can get back to it, but we'll make this point now in case we don't make it later. Why we already have all this budget figured into property taxes and everything else. Why would you even have to have a kid? Because part of this is related is that, where is a certain family on paying their kids' lunch program? It's like, why isn't that already paid for? And if there's a federal program, they just you show what you've done, and you get money based on that.
Just get paid for it.
Why are there separate accounts? It's kind of, I mean, I understand wanting to count number of meals served.
Right.
But this idea that there should have to be any transaction and, compulsory, quote, free education is kind of weird. It seems a weird mixture. So back to your home care thing.
So I have to do a menu
because in that they didn't have to pay you. You just literally kept track. And
the parents didn't pay me. Well, they paid me my weekly little fee, but these people, this program, the food program, was designated to keep me, feeding these kids healthy foods. And so that was during the summer up to the ages of, I had newborns all the way up to 6th grade. All right, that till they could tell their parents let them stay home by themselves. So anyway, I go into the school, and I'm a big-time volunteer. My daughter's in the 3rd grade, and at that time, when she was in the 3rd grade, I wasn't taking babies anymore because I was back in college, and I was working some other jobs. And so I went into the lunchroom one day. I looked down at the tray, and on my daughter's tray was chicken ring things, which are like chicken nuggets that look like Burger King onion rings. Okay. They're little onion ring. They're little chicken nuggets. There was a bag of Frito-Lay chips. There was a Dole fruit pop, and there was a bag of ketchup on my daughter's plate.
If I had to, push back on that bluff, it's like how many big food, another big food just wants to be in on the lunch on serving the lunches.
Our school district had a contract with Frito-Lay.
Yeah.
Pepsi, and whoever had popsicles, because we had a freaking lot of popsicles that year. But they signed contracts with them. So, yes. So, anyway, I went to the principal and I said, do you call this a meal? And he was like, no, I do not call this a meal. So, I called the guy that's in charge of the food program. My entire life, I've always gone to the people in charge. I just can't not do it. I called them and I said, I just was at, my daughter's school and they had chicken ring things. They had a bag of chips. They had a popsicle and they had a thing of ketchup. And I said, I'm on the food program and I want you to explain to me how anything on that plate was healthy. And his explanation is exactly what he said was the chicken was the meat. The breading on the ring finger was the bread. The chips was a vegetable. The fruit
because
pop,
of the old potato
the
idea.
fruit pop was a fruit.
Big potato.
He loves big potato. And the packet of ketchup was actually a vegetable.
Wait a second. Fruit. Wait. What was the fruit?
The Dole fruit popsicle.
Okay, juice popsicle was a fruit. Chips were the vegetable because potato based. Mm-hmm. And
they threw in an extra vegetable. Ketchup was a vegetable.
Okay, and then what?
So I said, that is unacceptable. And he goes, well, that's just what we do. So Kim called the Kansas Department of...
You say, yo, that's how we do.
That's what we do.
All
I
right.
said, so Kim called the Kansas Department, and I don't think it was Environment. It used to be the Kansas Department of Ag, I believe.
Okay.
Anyway, it was the person who was in charge of the money that the schools get. And I called up and I said, hey, I have a daycare and you guys require me to do this and this and this. But what is your requirement for schools? And they were like, blah, 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 told me. And I said, well, let me ask you this. Is this considered a healthy meal? And I told them, chicken ring things, a bag of chips, a fruit pop, ketchup. And they said, no. Where was this at? So I told them the school district. I get a phone call from the school district. How dare you go over our head to the state? I go, how dare you feed my kid crap?
Something that literally did not, was not the standard. Because if you would have said, could you please change that? It would have been a bureaucracy and they just wouldn't have done it.
No, I know. I'm not going to change it. You gave me your answer.
Could you please check with the State Department to see if it really is valid? Do you think they would have ever done that?
No.
You can get on the wrong side of a school pretty quickly if your voice.
I was on the wrong side of the school.
Well, the other interesting thing too, and I guess you're saying it's kind of parallel, but just to emphasize, your daycare did involve up to and through elementary school kids.
All the way up.
So it's not just like, okay, up to kindergartners or something like that.
No, it was all the way up.
It was it overlapped in ages there.
Yeah. So meanwhile, our school district was actually trying to get these TV dinner meals prepared so that the kitchens didn't have to prepare them. They would bring in these heaters and they would put them outside of the school in a building covered, and then you put the meals in there and then you cook them and then you pull them out and they're in a TV tray dinner. You want to see some food be thrown away? Those were nasty.
You didn't like the little apple pie thing in Hungry Man?
These are not the Hungry Man.
Not even that good.
These are like prison food. Those kids didn't even know what to think. Now think about it. Everything in there is cooked. Things are gooing together.
Think of the prison cell slot, except that's where it comes from.
So anyway, they did like a test market. They had a couple schools that did test market. That bombed. That was the bomb diggity bomb.
But in a bad way.
In a bad way. So anyway, we have these, you're watching the news and I totally believe that. I like the fact that they wanted it to be healthier. I know that if you go to our school, and I don't know if you still can because I haven't taught for a couple years, but they always had an extra cart that had extra vegetables or fruit on it. So they didn't offer it to everybody. They would give you the normal meal, and then you could go over and get a little bowl of carrots or a little bowl of applesauce if you chose, which is giving them extra food if they're flipping hungry. but they're not hungry because they're children. And so some of these kids are eating at 10:45 in the morning.
Well, my part of it for me is like, I don't remember. Now, I grew up in a small school district. Small. My dad was one of the administrators. And I don't even remember us having I don't remember people buying soda and like having it. And now that's all over. Like, I don't remember anybody going, oh, I got 5 minutes. Let me crack down a soda. I don't remember there being soda machines.
I don't think they have them. I think now with that 2010 thing.
But they did in between.
They did, yeah, because we had soda in high school, but not in elementary school.
Well, I mean, even in high school. Like, you couldn't, like, snap one open and take it to study hall or just be chilling somewhere.
Our machines didn't turn on
I think, like,
until
maybe,
after school.
Maybe it was, like, in the... Like, if you wanted soda, you'd have to somehow, like, I don't know, bribe a teacher to get it from the teacher's lounge or something.
That's
We drank water or whatever, you know.
No, we had two soda machines out in our foyer at our high school, but they did not work until after school. So like when we had like drill team practice or cheerleading, you could go get a
whatever,
pop.
but not during
school. But you can't get it during school.
The same idea of, I feel like, and I could be wrong, that it's around now, but it's like, we didn't have like, okay, let me just get 6 little donuts out of the vending machine. We
actually had during breaks, we had where you went up to and bought snacks as a fundraiser for different organizations.
Yeah, like we might have something like that, but
there was
like
no
this just
machine.
Junk food wasn't generally available if you had money, like change to burn.
Yeah, no.
But then that started to be the case. Mm-hmm. And so kids are not eating their lunch, and then they're eating their
crap.
Junk food and drinking their soda all day, so they can get addicted to it. As far as the amount too, though, we looked at numbers and we said just like amount. It's like, well, why wouldn't it be just built into the budget? And you saw a few numbers, maybe as low as around $250 per. This is just how much the kids are charged,
right?
So say around $248 up to like some place that was as high as like 6 something. That was an incredible rarity. Most of them are in the range of $250 to $300. So you're talking 180 days of school. So, you know, basically $250 a piece. So that's about $450 a year.
Right.
Well, you can go look this up. I'm basically certain, because public schools are not as expensive as the elite private schools.
Right.
But they spend as much per student. They actually spend more than like the lower level, like Catholic private schools.
Right.
And it's like 9 to 13 to 15,000 per student per year.
Right.
You're telling me you can't work 450 in there somewhere so that you don't have to go through the mechanism of some poor parent having to, you know, keep their account up to speed?
So,
you know, it's just kind of bizarre to me.
So as we come to the end, think about this and what you just said. Nearly 30 million children eat a lunch at school a day. 20 million of them already are on the free lunch. That means really all we have to do is figure out how to pay for the other 10 million. The 20 million's already in our tax dollars. They're already getting paid for the tax dollars. So literally this isn't like we have to start from scratch and every kid would need to do it. Why is 2/3 of our kids able to eat for free and the other 1/3 because their parents don't even have the money either. A lot of them don't have the money to pay it. That's why we have, what was that $1 billion? I didn't write it down. The debt that we have, it was like a $500,000 for school debt for people that hadn't paid their
it was like in one school district over a short period of time.
And so anyways,
so these, you know, you're doing all this individual accounting for accounts. Why even have it? But another thing we looked at real quick is that, in case you know, again, we didn't really do the mechanism of the percentage of subsidization, but we found something where schools lunches are subsidized as little as 30 cents to up to $3.54 a lunch, and I couldn't exactly tell from what we looked at briefly whether that meant depending on the student or depending on the school district. Like, it could be, you know, every year your average student in this district, if they qualify for free subsidized lunch, then the school gets this much back for that.
And I'm thinking like 30 cents is like for a kid that pays for all their lunch, and then the highest would be for a free lunch.
Or it could be that the lowest subsidy is 30 cents.
Right.
Or it's just an affluent school.
Right.
So since most of them can pay for their lunches.
A lot of affluent schools are private. They don't get the funding.
I know, but depending on the area of town, property taxes
town. Yeah.
And things like that. So anyway, I found it interesting. It's maybe something we can delve into more.
Yeah.
And something that we can talk about on the web page too, the social media, if you have any thoughts.
And we can wait to see if this actually goes through and just get some more articles on it.
Well, you know what? It was a rule, though, so I think it was an executive rule. Let's see. No. The new rule would allow.
Yeah, and it hasn't been.
Okay, so
it's not like it's not a for sure thing yet. I don't believe.
I think it might have to have like maybe a public period for comment and feedback, that type of thing. Might be one of those things where whenever you institute something that's a substantive change, you're supposed to at least have time for people to feedback, and then you can decide whether it may not even be so much, because so many things are under just the executive branch. It's just it's a regulation or it's a rule, and they can change them if they want.
Well, and what was really weird is they were like, we didn't mean for this to come out on Michelle's birthday. Yeah, I don't believe that. Real? It came out on her birthday. You know what? No.
That's pretty lame.
Just knowing who is working with this, they did it on purpose. Because
I blame Big Orange. See what I did there?
Look at the Big Orange. The big fruit? No, never mind.
No, that's what the thing is.
Why are you getting a lift? I don't understand.
Wait a second. Have you ever met Big Banana?
Why, yes, I have.
Sorry.
Wow. School lunches to Big Banana.
We finished our last serious topic that way either. I can't remember what way. Like, just so you remember, we can have fun, too.
We don't want to get too serious about this.
This is not NPR.
Exactly. Well, the thing is when it comes down to school
what I refer to them as Big Mper. Big Mper. Sorry.
Everything is big to him today. And that's what she said. Sorry. Wow. Oh man. Well, you guys, you have to pay attention to what you're doing. Don't let I'm not a Trump fan. I know that the way they proposed this and they publicized this, it basically was a shout. It was basically a punch at Michelle because they really want to kind of undo everything.
Now they want to undo everything. I think that sometimes, especially, was like, oh yeah, then we'll make our political little, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
so the people it's like preaching to the choir.
Right.
It's like if it was really on her birthday, and I'm not, I just hadn't heard that.
It was, and they apologized.
It's like, oh yeah, yeah, did you see that? Yeah, even turn back that dumb... Some people are going to have this attitude. Right, that dumb Michelle Obama initiative about healthy food.
Yeah, how should we shouldn't...
Whatever, she was stupid,
blah, blah, blah. Dumb. We shouldn't have to feed our kids healthy
so it's like
food.
For them, it's like rallying the troops.
Right. And
I'm just even saying that politically.
Get it?
So if you're a Trump supporter, I'm saying that's potentially a political move to rally the troops and preach to the choir.
Well, it's just a slap in the face to get some, during the things that are going on. And I'm not a Trump supporter.
Remember, I'm a libertarian, so generally in Kansas, I can vote libertarian all I want. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if I did say that, but I think I have.
Yes, but so don't let all the people on the outrage telling you what's going to happen and go in and look it up a little bit more. Some of these schools are like, yeah, some of this stuff didn't work. It doesn't work. And so we need to make sure that the kids maybe are just being taught to be healthier. And it is hard to feed someone healthy food when their parents pick McDonald's up every night for them because they're going between dance classes and all that stuff, and it's just part of their meals.
We had talked about the rundown, and then did you see the commercials recently where they tricked the kids? they go, "Oh, kids, who wants some vegetables in here?" They're like, "Nah, boo!" You know, they're like 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds. Like, "What about chicken nuggets?" And the kids are like, "Yeah!"
Oh, yeah.
And then they're like, "Hey, kids, how were those chicken nuggets? You know, they had vegetables in them." They're like, "What?"
Yeah, I saw that.
They tricked me.
You know, when I saw that commercial, I thought of you and your Impossible Burger.
Yeah. As in, well, you know, it's impossible that I'll ever try the burger. Well, I don't have anything against it, but I just know they would Frankenstein foods together, so I don't even really know what's in it, especially.
Oh, that's not good. Like my friend goes, "Hey, the Impossible Burgers are on sale. Like buy one get one free or something like that. I should really try one." I go, "Have you read what's in it?" So we pulled up what was in it, and he's a scientist person, and I'm like, I can't even pronounce these words.
It's just vegetables as an excuse. It's like the vegetable little part is the dead carcass of the former thing that we call vegetables and should eat it for healthy reasons.
But everything else is a bunch of chemicals
and a bunch of junk. Oh, and by the way, some weird enzyme to make it bleed. Okay, when's the last time you had an apple that bled?
Note to self: Impossible Burgers do not bleed.
No, but they do put something in there so it gives that appearance. So Isn't that creepy?
That's gross.
Anyway, the point is it's kind of probably artificial. Someone did try it that I know, and they said, "Yeah, I couldn't tell the difference." But I'm like, I'm still not going there.
If you put pickles and onions and ketchup and mustard and mayo and lettuce, take it out, put some cheese on it. No, I'm not going to know what it tastes like.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what I used to say. If you deep fry, you could deep fry anything, and some people eat it. It's like, "Hey, how was that deep fried? Blah blah blah. Do you know that was a turd?"
That was a turd.
That was delicious.
That was the best.
I love turds so long as they're fried. They're deep fried, you know, they're pretty good. Try one. Sorry. PG-13 time.
Downhill. That just went boom, downhill.
It happens.
Yeah, I know. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for giving us your time. We appreciate all of our listeners, and we're excited that the show is still going. Maybe not after tonight. We don't know.
I mean, we don't have FCC to worry about.
Now, make sure to go to our Facebook group and comment. We want to know about your school lunch. So go on there and put down episode, I believe, is it 18?
Holy wow.
I know, 18. And go ahead and comment about what your favorite lunch was, or comment about what you believe, how the school district's lunch suck or good or whatever. So just make sure you go there. Also make sure that you like our page, Chemology 411. And if you haven't joined yet, I'm not really speaking to you. Thank you, Tyson, for helping make Chemology so awesome.
So, parting shot for me is that the things I told you about the fluoride and stuff like that, I do really like going to kind of, okay, I heard this rumor that such and such. Is it true? I've heard it from what I think is a pretty good source, but I don't know. I like looking into those things. So
Have I told you that he has a really, really big nerd card?
Yeah. I've got almost all my punches on it. Anyway, so some of those, not all those things are going to interest me. But if you have some ideas, go look at those fluoride posts and the the waste island posts. And if you like that type of thing, give me some ideas, and I wouldn't mind looking into that type of thing. So I've got a separate Tyson Harley profile on Facebook.
Right.
So look for me there, and it should be open to the public.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, we'll talk to you soon. Make sure to keep taking all your adventures. Bye-bye.